I had a couple things that I was thinking about based on some news I heard yesterday, and I want to read this to you. And then I had a couple afterthoughts. One of these days, I'm going to have to record my conversations that I have with my mother because we discuss a lot of this stuff in detail, and we come up with some really great revelations. So one of these days, I'll have to do that. Anyway, here's what I wrote yesterday as I thought about some of the things that were coming out in the breaking news. I saw something last night on C-SPAN and heard that this happened in the news that Biden plans to force 80 million Americans to get the vax. Also, another source said that this guy happened to see FEMA camps being prepared, and he was concerned that these FEMA camps are actually being prepared for patriots. Rumor has it that both of these assertions were intentions that Hillary Clinton had she been elected president. And as we know, one theory out there is that this is all a movie, and this movie is being played out in rapid speed in order to reveal to the American public, especially anybody who's asleep or any of the liberals who have supported these candidates, it's to wake them up, to thwart civil war, and to show them, what's really been going on behind the scenes. It's like a revelation of corruption. So, if we assume that this theory is correct and that they're playing everything out before the people's eyes to show the liberals and to show the people that are unaware, if this theory is right, we should be pretty close to the end of the show right now, especially when you start seeing these forceful mandates that will actually change society. And if you think about it, if 50% of the people are against this and they walk out of their jobs, then all of these establishments, all these companies, all these organizations will fail because they won't be able to be propped up with half their workforce. So I thought of that last night. They say that this is to wake up the people, regarding the corruption, the communist agenda, and the New World Order and their plans. Of course, you've heard about Agenda 21 and Agenda 2030. Trump campaigned on draining the swamp, and we know that he's a fighter and he doesn't give up. I believe that they have played out the past 5 years to expose corruption, evil agendas, and individuals, and to rouse the people from complacency. And another thing I thought about is Trump always talked about Operation Warp Speed. Well, I never thought it was about a vax. I always thought that basically he was speaking in code and he was telling us, let's begin this high speed, high rate of revelation, this revelation to people that this is what's been going on. It's like not the slow boil of the frog, but let's do it in warp speed. Let's do this revelation of boiling the frog quickly so that people wake up. So it's possible that the next move could be military. As we know, we're at that break point where God has to step in. It's like we're in the middle of the Red Sea right now. And if it's true, if they push this agenda, it's going to have to rouse the people, and God will have to show us what our calling is. And we're going to have to step forth and operate in our calling. And that we're not quite there, but I think we're beating at the door at that place right now. So it's possible that the next move could be military, and the people would think, what did I write here? The people would think it was to force vaccines and to gather them for FEMA camps. It's possible that people would think that when they see the military out in the streets, but actually the military could be on the move to make arrests. This is only one theory. If it's not a movie and if we're not watching this, then we may truly be in tribulation, or knocking at the door of tribulation. But this is one theory I have, and I don't know if it's right or not. This is just my theory. If Biden truly gets all employers to force the vax, we all know that a huge percentage of people will refuse it and they'll be fired. If enough people are fired, businesses and organizations will not be able to operate in such a significantly reduced staff. So we're going to see a lot of organizations and companies fail. A lot of things fall apart. and this would send society into chaos. So if my theory is correct, we're near the end of the show, and it's time for God to step in, because God always waits until it looks like it's too late. And like my dream, we were soaring. This is a dream I had in 2012. We were going along a rocky, dry dirt road alone. We all felt like we were alone in this. And all of a sudden, out of nowhere, suddenly there was a cliff and there was nowhere else to go. And I felt like, oh my gosh, we're all going to die. We're going to fall off this cliff. But instead of going over the cliff and falling, as we went over the cliff, we got sucked up. And then we were soaring. So that's a point to encourage you on. So if my theory is correct, we're near the end of the show and it's time for God to step in his glory and in the revival and harvest. And the harvest will begin. The revival and the harvest will begin. And the other thing I thought about this morning was how Gideon's army dwindled down. There are a lot of Christians out there, and we haven't been able to see who's a nominal Christian or a Christian in name only, and who's actually remnant. Well, some people were deceived and took, I want to be careful what I say, but the vax, and other people, they had a check in their spirit and they questioned. I think that's the first dwindling. I think we're about to see the next dwindling of Gideon's army. I think there's going to come opposition. There's going to come this forcefulness, take it or else. And then there's still going to be people who are like, no, I'm firm in where I stand. And they're willing to trust God in the next move. And then after we see those people sorted out, we've come down to the 300 remnants, so to speak, in Gideon's army. And that's when God will suddenly emerge and the remnant will rise. If you don't know your calling, you're not alone. I don't know my calling. I just know that I really have a burden for communication and media, but everybody has their burden and everybody has their calling, and you may not know it yet because God may not be revealing it to you yet. But I believe there's going to be sudden empowerment, because right now we are in that time where those demons are agitated, and you can see and feel spiritually that the atmosphere is charged. The demons are terrified, and they are fighting with all they've got in order to keep their influence over the people. And I believe we are living in a world that's shrouded in witchcraft. And I think God needs to make a shift. And when this shift occurs, the veil will be lifted. The curtain will rise. We'll see God as who he is. We'll see our purpose. We will see things as they are, because he's going to reveal truth. And then I think that's when the show is on. That's when we're empowered and we begin the harvest and we see the revival and the glory of God. So that's my word for today. I know that's a lot to say, but I just wanted to share that with you.